Neho, let's go. Welcome back to our show tonight as we raise the topic of getting paid. Not us. No, not yet. We're working on it. Vlady Guerrero and others. He's gone to the bank. Who's next? But before we get to that, and of course, all of our great fantasy baseball chatter, we always begin the show by asking you the question, where else would you rather be than right here? Boom. Right now, you are looking live at our split studios. This is Fantasy Baseball Now, episode 32. The Marcus Allen edition is here for the show, part of the Ball9.com podcast network.
If it was the O.J. Simpson edition, I would say we slashed through our collective 72nd year of fantasy baseball. We're here to talk some Major League Baseball with a fantasy spin in addition to contract banter and why do you play in the snow? We launch into our regularly scheduled format of start 'em, sit 'em, go get 'em, cut 'em. And then looking ahead as we are here on a Tuesday night, it's kind of hard to look ahead, but we will look ahead lightly to help you set your lineups for next week. Feel free to leave comments. We love when our listeners comment, and then we'll do our best to address it. Smash the like button. Speaking of making money, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us at ball9.com.
Yep.
Follow us on Spotify. I think our Spotify royalties are up to 1/120th of a penny at this point.
Sweet.
And we are woefully short of commoditizing Spotify, which is fine. And I believe if El Jefe puts us on Apple Music, we're also on Apple Music. But
and while the topic is fresh for fantasy owners, make sure your pitchers don't get hit by a stray baseball during batting practice and go on the IL. And you find it out after the only two real options to replace them in your lineup all week have already started their game, and therefore I'm locked out. And it was either Gettin, who wasn't going to pitch, or Jordan Romano, who might pitch. And I left the injured guy in my lineup last night. I was disgusted. More missed time for the struggling Team Pugsley Baseball, who was looking forward to Zach Wheeler and Chris Sale for the pitcher's duel. And last I saw, it's 4-3 in the third inning or fourth inning.
Yeah, well,
Top of the fifth, we've made it.
Yeah.
Runs are plenty.
I sadly didn't wager the over on the Rangers and Cubs tonight because when my friend in Texas, Jeff Bates, said it's Patrick Corbin Day, and my comment was, if you're sitting in the outfield, bring a glove, and if you're going to keep score, grab an extra pencil. That clearly the Rangers don't, as much as they're creating a little bit of a cushion in the division, they're not serious about winning the division because Patrick Corbin started tonight.
We'll see how they're going to win that division.
Patrick Corbin against Jamison Taillon in 2011. That would have been a 2016, a great pitching matchup. Tonight, 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks. Dansby Swanson took him deep.
The 2 walks is pretty good for him.
No strikeouts. That's one thing about Patrick Corbin, and that's unusual. It's unusual that he hasn't struck anybody out. Because he'll get you 7 strikeouts in 4 innings. He'll give up 9 runs. Now look at Uncle Ted. Uncle Ted throwing daggers before we even. First of all, did you see that? Were you in the production meeting, Uncle Ted? Because one of those players is going to get a mention this week.
And one of those players got picked up today in our league.
Not surprised.
Yeah, I picked up.
They got some chance. Dare I say this? The Anaheim Angels, A, are playing pretty good ball, and B, they got some lineup issues that they're going to have to deal with when Zachary Neto comes back off his rehab stint, because they got a little depth. They can't pitch to save their ass, but they definitely, which is that's played on a loop, but that their offense is fun.
I could tell you this. This is the first time in 36 years of this league that I've had two Angels on my team, maybe in the entire year, and I picked them both up in the last 36 hours with Kokanowitz and Paris.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other big news. Vladdy goes to the bank.
Vladdy Daddy.
We were just talking about this. Just good for the game of baseball. You can't have two or three teams signing everybody, and Toronto finally got someone to take some money.
Yeah, probably overpaid a little bit. But I wonder if he signed in the U.S. if there would have been a 25% tariff on his earnings.
Oh, don't, no.
But I think he might have, I think in the long run he got overpaid a little bit for value of player, though he's a tremendous player.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you who likes that contract is Pete Alonso.
True.
Pete Alonso likes that contract a lot.
He's got opt-outs coming.
Yeah.
He won't get that much though.
Yeah, he's on a one. Basically, for him, he's on a prove it or lose it contract this year. And
his age, his age is a lot different than what Guerrero's bringing.
And I did see that somebody said, sadly, I think that Guerrero's going to end up like Prince Fielder. I don't think so. Prince Fielder was a good athlete for a guy of his size. Vlady's a good athlete.
Yeah.
He's an above average first baseman. He was a fair third baseman. He's an above average first baseman. And yeah, you're right, Ted. The back half of that contract will probably suck, but every contract over 10 years, the back half sucks. He's still pretty young.
See Pujols, Albert.
Yeah. See Stanton, Giancarlo.
Don't call me Mike.
Ted's allergies to right-hand hitters.
Ted's fired up tonight.
Ted is fired up. He came right out of the gates screaming fast tonight.
So the question on this is, what's the impact on fantasy? Is there an impact on Guerrero? Is there an impact on his teammates that you may have? I don't know the answer to that question.
The impact to any of his teammates should be Bo Bichette.
Yes, he's in his walk year.
And is he going to produce this year like Vladdy produced last year, and then maybe at the All-Star break, the Blue Jays are like, we got to get this one done too. I agree with Ted. I'm not a fan of long-term contracts because there is that fear. Like, I got paid, and what's there to prove at this point? You hope the player doesn't take that position. But,
yeah,
I mean, his contract makes Judge's contract look like a steal.
Wow. That's crazy.
I mean, it's a lot of money. $500 million is a lot. And he moved. So I'll give him credit because he clearly wanted to stay. Because he was closer to 600, and then the rumor was he didn't want to move off 550, and he did.
Yeah.
Well, he clearly wanted to stay, which is good. I mean, it's great for the Blue Jays. They finally signed somebody. That's awesome. I'm more excited about Jackson Merrill getting paid.
Yeah. Nice segue.
I'm more excited about I'm more excited about that kind of signing where teams are recognizing young talent. The Braves did it forever, right?
Correct.
The Braves started the process. And they're locking these guys up and avoiding a bunch of arbitration years where there's, these arbitration pissing contests where they're using every advanced metric that I believe have been made up by front offices to make their point as to why they don't have to pay people. I mean, we were talking earlier. I mean, Screwball would be the next logical. He's got another year of control. I don't know if that's going to happen because he's going to be $40 million.
They got to
Pittsburgh,
lock.
based on my weekend in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh fans have already decided Skeens has got 2 more years there, and he's gone.
They got to look. They got to pay him. They got to get Scooble too. Don't let him get to his contract year. And the other guy is the Cubs. You said they're going to let him go. You think, but the Cubs can't let Kyle Tucker out of the building.
Well, they can't, but he's going to be $600 million. He's going to get Soto's money. Their stats are almost identical. I mean, Soto's got the flair, and Soto's played in New York, and Soto's played on, and so is Tucker on World Series winning teams. But Soto played in markets that got attention, and Tucker didn't. Now he's with the Cubs, and he's raking already. He's a better outfielder. Yeah, he's a far better outfielder than Soto.
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the flair and the excitement.
The underrated part of his game is all the stolen bases.
Right.
That's what separates him from a lot of guys.
Houston screwed that up.
And that's awesome.
Tucker and Bregman were players of the week, respectively, in the National and American League last week. And my ex-friends from Houston were apoplectic, to say the least, as Houston has only one guy that's hitting the ball, and he's a 5'7" left fielder now, who's the only guy in our lineup that's producing.
Yeah. Can't feel worth a lick. So if you could pick, what player do you think has the most importance? The young players. You got Alonso, you got Season King in San Diego coming up, but Gunnar, the young guys. Gunnar. Gunner's here. Cincinnati's got to be looking at Ellie De La Cruz and saying we got.
Yeah, I mean, Witt's done, right? So Witt sets the market for shortstop. Yep. Merrill sets the outfield market. Well, Cincinnati and Baltimore both have similar problems. Baltimore's got worse problems because they've got more.
They got more.
But young players that need to get paid, and you can't let them go.
It's what's fun about this from a fantasy perspective is all this great young talent's coming up, and it's ready to go, and they're younger. As I said before, I don't remember this many guys under 24, 25 being this good this earlier in their careers. Ted's talking about Zach Veen. He comes up, and it's like, here's another one that, it's hard to not go to want to take a flyer on every single guy because they come up with so much promise, and a lot of them are hitting.
Yeah, they're more ready. I don't know if they're hitting because it's a byproduct of pitching stinks, but they're up for one reason and one reason only. And if you looked at the number of guys that are free agents that are still eligible to be signed by teams, 32, 33, 34-year-old free agents that would want $7-8 million, they're up early because they're getting called up early because teams are going to play their own, and they're not going to sign these journeyman one-year guys that are boomer bust guys. You never know what you're going to get out of them. And
what Ted just wrote is accurate too. The growth of college baseball, they are more major league ready.
Yeah. The SEC is better than AAA.
Yeah.
And you can see it by the way they come up. I mean, these guys are, I mean, and the Angels do it. The Angels have the least patience, but they also draft the most major league ready guys. And they have no problem putting having the guy take, 125 at bats in the minors and bringing them to the major leagues. They have no problem with it at all.
Yep.
Because that's what they're drafting. They don't take 18-year-old high school kids that may or may not develop. They take who can get here as fast as possible and help us win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the proof is there. I mean, Adley Rutschman's in that category. When are they going to get him paid?
Well, I mean, you got a whole pile of guys there,
and a cheap ass owner.
I mean, you can meet the new boss.
Yeah, right.
He's the same as the old boss. My God. I mean, the Padres have been better at it. The Padres have been really good at it. I mean, the Tatis signing could have been a mistake. And if they want to move on from him, it's a major problem for them because somebody's got to take that contract on. But they got Tatis done and they got Merrill done, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get King.
Yeah.
If they tried to get Michael King done because they didn't trade him, they know they're going to lose Cease probably, or they won't sign him. And there's rumors in Philly that despite the fact that he's basically missed 2 full years, that the Phillies are already negotiating on a 5-year deal with Andrew Painter, and
Wow.
he still isn't ready.
Wow. Hey, how was Pittsburgh? Did you tell Bob Nuttick hello?
He was there on Friday. I was not there on Friday. And he decided that he was going to walk the concourse and take his medicine, and he did indeed.
Okay.
They had 38,000 on Friday for opening day.
Yeah.
I was there on Saturday. There was 33,000 announced. Most of them were hanging out in the concourse because it rained, like a drizzle rain. Felt like I was back in Ireland.
Yeah.
And I would say 65 to 70% of that crowd was Yankee fans.
It sounds like a Sacramento Athletics game.
And then despite the fact that it was a 1:00 game and it was still a getaway for a lot of Yankee fans, we all bolted because it was cold and rainy.
Yeah.
And they had 20-something thousand. They had 8,000 last night. I don't know what they have tonight. Skeens and Sonny Gray. Skeens not having a great outing. But I knew they weren't going to rain those games out because they can't count on 80,000 for a series ever.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that's going to show up and give them 80,000 for a series. I don't know what the attendance is. I mean, it is the 8th inning. They should announce it, but not. But I mean, they have no offense. The fans are pissed, just pissed off. I mean, they are angry. Like they are angry. Like and it's such an unbelievable ballpark. I mean, it's just a phenomenal ballpark.
You
it
can't
really
get a better
is.
view.
Like every sight line is great. It's nicer at night than it is during the day if you sit behind home plate, even upper level, because the skyline view is nice.
Yeah.
It's just, and they've done nothing. I feel like they've been waiting for Jack Sawinski to be good for 6 years, and he's not. He's not a good baseball player. They got a shortstop playing center field, and if it wasn't for Andy Paez, he'd be the worst defensive center fielder in the game, but he's not because Andy Paez can't catch a cold in center field. That guy can't take a track on a ball to save his life. That is a challenge for the Dodgers, who are losing again to the Nationals tonight.
That's a shame.
And getting hammered.
Good.
8-1.
Every sport needs a villain, so good. I don't have a problem with the Dodgers, but good. I want to see them take their lumps.
Don't worry. They'll fix it. They'll move. They'll get a second baseman and a shortstop. They'll move Betts to right and Edmund to center. They'll fix everything that's wrong with their team. They'll find out that the Orioles can't sign Gunner, and they'll trade 38 high-level prospects for him. They'll do something ridiculous.
You're making me want to go back and recreate the congratulations Los Angeles Dodgers after the World Series victory. Anyhow.
And Blake Snell's hurt, by the way, already.
Yes, he is. He of the 2 whip.
Yeah, I don't know how he got hurt, but it's certainly better than Freddie Freeman aggravating an ankle injury in the shower, which goes into which goes into the list of weird injuries that have cost guys playing time.
Yeah.
Not as bad as sneezing and breaking a rib, not as bad as falling down the stairs carrying bags to go on a road trip, not as bad as waking up in the middle of the night thinking you see spiders in your bed, Glen Allen Hill, and ended up on the 15-day DL at that time because he fell out of bed and hurt himself. I mean, it just
Are you ready for who's hot,
Yeah,
who's not?
Spencer Arrighetti breaking his thumb.
Yep.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. That's why that line of why it's important to communicate with the press is another reason why Cincinnati has to sign Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
So not only has he been working on English, but then he's working on other languages as well. As they get new teammates, he's working on languages.
Wow.
That's crazy, man. He's fun to watch. And
Right.
I did watch the last 3 innings of that game last night because Hunter Green was spinning and looking great. Man, I don't get it with them. They can't score runs.
Yeah.
That's not good. But it's early.
Yeah.
It's very early.
So, needless to say, nobody on Cincinnati's on the who's hot list, but are you ready for that? There we go.
I am. I'm gonna let you go first.
Sure.
As you've decided that you're a Sacramento A's fan or just an A's fan.
No, I can't do it. I actually was okay with watching him on the road. I can't do the Sacramento thing, which, by the way,
nobody does.
But nobody does.
Padre fans turned up pretty well last night.
Yeah, the Padre fans were loud and proud. Yeah, so look, on that note, Sacramento, so they have the highest average ticket price in baseball, $181. Thinking, and then they announced that everything's sold out for 80 games. It's not. Thinking, well, there's such a demand, people are going to pay for it. There is such a demand that if I was one of those season ticket holders, and by the way, I would never be because I'm not stupid enough to get John Fisher my money. They're now advertising $15 seats down the lines or 2 for 25.
Five home games in. That took a while.
Yeah, congratulations. But for the people that watch TV, Tyler Soderstrom has arrived. Former first-round pick. He's only 23. He's owned in 92% of CBS leagues. Started in 80. Get him in your lineup if you have him. He's hitting a balmy 381, 6 homers, 10 RBIs, and 9 runs. He's a masher, and he's got to be because Nick Kurtz is right behind him in the system for the Athletics. So Tyler Soderstrom, take a bow this week. He's been incredible.
So where does Tyler Soderstrom get traded when Kurtz comes up because they got a problem?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Right, they got a problem, right?
Well, they have another problem.
Walker's not playing in the outfield.
Well, the other problem they have with it is that they have to, if they actually think this mirage of Las Vegas is going to happen, and it never will.
No,
they have to at least give an appearance that they're trying to build a ball club to bring with them that can create some interest. So I don't know where they go with that.
Yeah, well, they did sign Butler. They did sign Rooker.
Yeah,
they probably should should sign Miller. Though closers are, I don't know if I'd pay a closer, to be honest with you. I'd find another arm. But then we stay in the not only in the same division, but in the same state. And Logan O'Hoppe, who is at this point 91% owned and 78% started. I mean, he's hitting 345. He's got 5 homers, 9 RBIs, 5 runs scored, but he has homered in 4 straight games.
Yep.
And so naturally, since he homered in 4 straight games, he's not playing tonight. But he had a really nice second half last year. There was a lot of talk about regression in him this year and another fit in that lineup.
Yeah, by the Uncle Ted, I think is right. Rooker can get a glove back on. He's okay.
Yeah, he'd be like Greg Lazinski.
Is this the most, by the way, Anaheim, I'm calling him Anaheim Angels talk we've ever had on this show outside of
they replaced the Kansas City Royals? Are we going to be talking about Angels players all year like we did about the Royals last year? Possible.
No, because they suck. They're, we're a week and a half.
Yeah.
Right? It's not even 2 weeks.
You know what? I'm going to go with history and just know that Trout could get hurt and Artie Moreno will do something to fuck it up. by the All-Star break.
Exactly. Yeah, give them a little airtime, but they're largely irrelevant and have been so for a long, long time. So yeah, take up some time now. Take a bow.
Their lineup's fun though. Their lineup is a lot of fun. They have some damage in that lineup. Great point.
All right. Who's not hot? Who's next?
That's a great point. Yeah, who's not hot? Jesus. Not hot.
Yeah, 34 years old, going on 72.
I got to put a sweater on just looking at this page. Holy smokes.
Semien, love the graphics. Semien, 125, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, 2 runs. He's worse than he was last year after I traded him to you for Ketel Marte. He used to be a top 3 second baseman, and he's not anymore.
Yeah, and as bad as he is, Rhys Hoskins is worse. He's hitting 136.
Wow.
No homers. That's his game, right? If he's going to hit 220, he's going to hit 35 home runs.
True.
2 RBIs. He's still 64% rostered, and I wouldn't cut him. And he's only 36% started. I don't think I'd cut him yet because he's a streaky player. And first base is a weird position. There's you either have a really good one or you don't. But
yeah,
man, you can't put him in your lineup right now. I mean, there he is looking this like a great. It's a great picture of Marcus Semien better at blowing bubbles at hitting right now, and Rhys Hoskins looking despondent, walking back to the dugout yet again after making no contact. And the rest of their lineup is hitting, and he's a giant hole in the middle of it right now.
Yeah.
Because Terang and Churio are going crazy at the top, and my guy Sal Frelick is tearing it up in the middle of the lineup, and there's just a big hole there. Maybe they'll cut him. Maybe they'll steal Rowdy Tellez from the Mariners. He could hit it doesn't matter what team he's on. He's not going to hit.
Go get him and cut
so who to go get. And here you go, Uncle Ted.
Here you go, Uncle Ted. This one's for you,
This
buddy.
is the Uncle Ted tribute. This is the Uncle Ted tribute graphic. How about that? Ted was in the production meeting. There's no question about that.
Here's the thing with Paris, and I hesitated on picking him up because it just seemed like he wasn't getting like full game at bats without a lot of walks, and I was trying to figure out why. And then I just kept watching him, and I saw that batting average, 444. Heading into today, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 4 steals, 8 runs. What's not to like?
Nope.
23 years old. He's only rostered in 42% of CBS leagues, started in 28.
It's crazy.
He's going to help me, I hope, as long as he can get hit by a ball in batting practice and break his thumb, or make the play of the year and into the wall in San Francisco. Victor Robles, who I have too, and he joined a lengthy DL list for me. What's not to like about this kid? You know, he may make Zach Geloff expendable on Team Person Baseball.
Nah, they'll move Renigfo to third. He'll play second. Neto will be at short. Another, 20-30 guy, 2 20-30 guys in the middle of the infield, a 15-30 guy at third, a 30 homer catcher, an on-base machine at first base, and if they get a healthy Trout, they're going to score lots and lots of runs, and they're going to need every single one of them.
And a staff led by Kikuchi.
Fuck that asshole. Was that out loud?
Too late. We're live.
I know. So Zach Veen makes his debut. I was already on the Cam Dollander train. He had a nice debut on Sunday for the Rockies. Good for them. Good for them. Get the kids up. Let them play. You're not going anywhere. And they're 3-7 in a division that's got 3 teams that are 9-3, 9-2, and 8-2. So they're going nowhere.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks aren't one of those 3 teams, and they're not going to be 6-4. So they got no shot to do anything in that division. Another place with a great ballpark, right? And a good fan base, despite the fact they have an idiot for an owner whose 500 is good enough for him. You might as well call
5'1"?
the kids up. Veen's a 5'2" kid. He'll settle into one of the corner outfield spots because they're not gonna move Doyle out of. I mean, since he's won 2 Gold Gloves, they're not going to move him out of center field.
Yeah.
So maybe light hitting, sometimes hitting Mickey Moniak a platoon in left or right, whatever they don't play. But man, whatever he does is, I mean, I hope he gets off to a great start and he sticks.
Yeah.
But it's not as relevant. It's not as relevant as him getting called up and being in that lineup and part of that team. And
they need a buzz like this there. They're just my niece goes to Rockies games out there. They're just like a rudderless ship. They have no direction, seemingly no purpose. And they need some of these kids to get a buzz going. It's a beautiful stadium. It's a great place to go to a baseball game.
yeah, they need to find a way with their own players because they're not going to attract free agents just because they're just not good enough and they won't spend. I mean, the last time they spent the money, that guy's still sucking up payroll and doing nothing.
There's not enough Mike Hamptons in the world that don't want to win and just want to get paid.
Yeah, Chris Bryant's that he should have stayed in Chicago in the first place, but he didn't. But with Doyle, with Veen, with Tovar, with the sometimes hitting Toglia, with Dollander coming up, with Havelstrom in the bullpen, they need to recreate that, Walker, Helton, Vinny Castilla, here's our guys.
Yep.
And whether they'll ever win like that's irrelevant, but there needs to be some level of player excitement on that team. And Veen gives them could give them immediate credibility there. When you get, you got 2/3 of your outfield that's 23 years old. That's pretty good.
Yeah. 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 Like I said, there's just like no hope in Colorado. They gotta have something to cling to there.
Yeah, they definitely need more than what they have right now. So keep an eye on him. He's only 36%. He's only 45% rostered. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. It was him or Dollander for me with the minor league spot, and I knew Dollander was going to come sooner. So I grabbed him. I knew he wasn't going to be down long enough, and then I knew that knowing our league the way I know our league, people don't pay attention to the Rockies at all. So I knew I'd have a shot at some point.
Yeah, right.
At some point.
All right. Who we
go get those guys, but then on the flip side, to make room for them.
Look, it's Sacramento A's night here, along with the Angels. Severino was on my bus list at the start of the year or before the year. Please, if you're in a fantasy league with me, go pick him up and start him, please, because I need all the help I can get to win. This dude is rostered in 75% of CBS leagues, started in 55. 5.50 or 5.54 ERA, 1.25 whip, and 8 strikeouts in 13 innings. He sucks. He shouldn't be rostered, period. And ain't going to get any better. It's just not.
You got paid a lot of money from that team to have that stat
You get the biggest contract in franchise history, $1 million more than they gave Eric Chavez 42 years ago. And they asked him about the stadium, and he goes, they just treat it like the minor leagues or treat it like spring training because that's what it is. That's what it feels like. So,
wow.
Yeah, he got paid. And good for him, he got paid. But, don't. Well, again, if you're in the league with me, play him, please.
Yeah, and if you're not the originator of the torpedo bat, if you're not in a 2-catcher league and you're one of the 62% that still has Ryan Jeffers, just move on. There's other catcher options. There has to be other catcher options that will do something. I mean, Joey Bart's a better option than Ryan Jeffers. So he's hitting 217. He hasn't homered yet. He's still 62% rostered. He's not even playing back-to-back days right now. Like he's not even playing back-to-back days. And in the past, he would catch, he would DH, he would catch, he would DH, and he'd probably play 4 out of 5 days. He'd catch 3 and DH 1, and they'd keep his bat in the lineup. And not that they're doing anything offensively, excuse me, either. But just pick him up in May when he starts hitting. Maybe like last year, he got off to a terrible start last year as well, and then all of a sudden he came out of nowhere. But head to head, you can't give away losses this early, and Roto counting stats are counting stats.
Yes, they are. I didn't have enough of them in my first game, so
yeah. Uncle Ted brought up Kelbert Ruiz, and I didn't look at his percentage of Kelbert Ruiz is he's rostered in 66% of the leagues, and Jeffers is in 62, and Ruiz is outperforming Jeffers by a ton. By a ton. So there are guys to go get. In the 2-catcher league, it's harder. I mean, you're really not. You're kind of, most of the time, unless you place importance on catcher early because the position is so sparse. One of your catchers is going to be a challenge, to say the least, but not there. Zach Veen is in his first major league at bat right now against Freddie Peralta. Nice way to start your career.
There you go. All right.
And then we do a light look ahead for next week. 2-star pitchers are a little difficult to navigate because not all pitching matchups have been set. But if you look at who's starting on Monday, you get a pretty good idea they're going to get a second start.
Yep.
So if you look at favorable hitting matchups for next week, that Red Sox lineup at Tampa for 3 in that bandbox minor league stadium, and then hosting the White Sox for 3, man.
Yeah.
Great.
They're hitting a ton now, and it's a good time. Maybe Rafaela can get out of his slump because he's about the only one. Tristan Casas has been horseshit too. Like, got to pile on where I can with that group, but the rest of them, it's a good week to get right for some of their guys. But it'd be a lot of counting stats coming out of Boston.
They might score 60 runs in those 6 games next week.
They could.
They might score 60 runs in those 6 games next week. And the White Sox starting pitching is pretty good, but their bullpen is so woefully bad that you can get 10 in the last 2 innings off that bullpen. And then the Nationals, who are starting to come around, and hitting the ball, and they've been hitting the ball really well against the Dodgers the last 2 nights. They're in Pittsburgh for 4. The first of those 4 is Skeens. And then they go to Colorado for 3. And if I've got Nationals, they're playing next week. They're in my lineup, every format, as long as they're healthy. As long as they don't tweak a hamstring on the last pitch of a game on Sunday and then they can't play 2 days in a row, Mr. Abrams.
It's funny, 2-star pitchers. I was going to give you Taijuan Walker, and I'm like, no, I'm not going down that road.
Taijuan Walker's a no-start pitcher. I don't care what he did in his last start. There's not a format in this world.
Yeah, he's got San Francisco and Miami. I said, you know what? I don't want to put my name on him because Tyler McGill has been very good for the Mets so far.
Yeah, he has.
So far, he's been good and not bad matchups for him. I like the Springs pick too.
Yeah, I like the matchups, and I like the fact that they're not home.
Yeah.
He had his first start was really good. His second start, not so much. I mean, he's a career like close to one whip guy, and he's got and his stuff looks good, and his arm looks healthy, and he's got a lineup that can't hit, and he's in a pitcher's park. So, and he's only, I mean, he is 75% rostered, but he's only 41% started. So if he's rostered, you better take a long, hard look of getting 2 starts out of him. I don't care what format it's in. I don't care if it's roto or head to head. You're going to want that. And while you're mentioning Alec Thomas, Ted, thanks for bringing that idiot up. What the hell happened to Alec Thomas? Did he forget how to play baseball when he got traded from Washington?
No, it's Lane Thomas.
Oh, Alec Thomas. Yeah, well, Alec Thomas is going to play because Jax McCarty sucks. He's going to end up getting sent down.
Yeah, I do not play that Uncle Ted, by the way. No, yeah. Lane Thomas was great for me last year, and he got traded to Cleveland. And I thought he was going to be all over the place, and he was garbage.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
And after I cut him a little bit, but
he's definitely all over the place.
Yeah, Lane Thomas. That's a very good. Thank you for the correction, Uncle Ted.
Yeah, I just saw Thomas and I blanked. My head started to spin because he's off to a bad start. So Roman Anthony gets called up. Where does he play?
That's a good question.
I mean, where does he play? Abreu's insane right now. Duran's great. I mean, Duran's never coming out of that lineup.
Put Devers at third, right?
Well, they're going to call they called Meyer up, and they've got,
Oh, well, Story will be hurt by the time we're off the air. Okay.
Yeah, it's possible. It could be hurt
that
right now.
Opens it up a little bit. That opens it up a little bit.
Lame Thomas. Thanks, Ted. Lame Thomas. Ted, how'd you start? How'd your first week go in the NFBC? I got smoked in the National League Only League last week because I had 3 IL guys that I couldn't get replaced.
Yeah.
I made a run in the Fantasy Baseball Now head-to-head league, and Arson Judge was on fire last week, 62 points in head-to-head. He would be the MVP of head-to-head fantasy last week. That's not good. I made up a ton of ground thanks to my pitching staff and the TSBF league. And then in the content creators league, I won. So I was 1-2 head-to-head last week, and not good.
I'm having a big night in the head-to-head league against Bobby Brigade with James Wood, 2 homers, 5 RBIs tonight. Thank you. He's got
James
27
Wood,
fantasy points in 2 nights this week. We'll take it. After I got pounded last week.
Yeah, I have a total of 6 points on the second night of the league, and I had 3 starters go last night. And Wheeler and Zach, it was Wheeler, Eovaldi, and Zach Gallen, and they were minus 23 points last night.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not good. And Michael King, I had 4 pitchers pitch last night, and I was minus 25 of my starters last night. Not good. Not good.
Okay.
Not good.
All right. So next week
we do it again. We see if somebody else signs a big contract. In the following week, we didn't talk about torpedo bats. That seems to have come and gone.
It was a fad. 4 or 5 days, all done. Right?
Oh, yeah. You know, it was 3 days. 3 days of a bunch of home runs. Everybody lost their shit because it was the Yankees.
Yep.
And we're not talking about torpedo bats anymore.
That's kind of a shame. I enjoyed the distraction from all my injuries.
Ben Joyce isn't helping you tonight, Ted. Ursich's phenomenal.
So is Hodge. I watched him pitch the other day.
Devers is definitely heating up.
Yep.
Seems like a week ago we were making fun of him. Not anymore.
Yeah, right.
Which is exactly what you knew was going to happen.
Sure.
It was fun while it lasted.
We'll plan next Tuesday.
We will plan next Tuesday.
My kids are on break
Tax
all
day.
week. Tax day.
Tax day.
Take your mind off your problems. Come here and watch fantasy baseball.
Yeah. We're not gonna match your. Maybe one lucky viewer will match their refund. Maybe one lucky viewer will match mine.
Yeah, I like that better.
Thanks, Ted.
That better. All right. Enjoy. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks.
All righty.
Like us, follow us. Keep the momentum going. Fun.
Absolutely. Be good now.